this is Ilina and welcome to another LDRS creative card making video. For today's card, we're going to use 3 dies. So I have the Zig Zag Slimline. We're going to use it for A2 card. I have the Quilted Plaid A2 Coverplate and the large word Spring Sentiment dies. So let's get started. I have pre-cut strips using the Zig Zag Slimline, and I have one topper that I die cut with the die, just the top part. So we're going to use that for the first piece with straight line. Before we go into that, I will run a piece of A2 cardstock using the Quilted Plaid A2 die to create my background. And we're going to add the strips on that piece of pre-die cut cardstock. So by magic of YouTube, I run that through my die cutting machine. And now I'm using a grid paper to make sure I have the strips straight. Since we're using straight edge for the first strip, I want to make sure that it's nice and straight so the rest will follow. So here I am cutting that strip too. When I die cut that top line of the die that does not cut, did indentation onto the cardstock. So I marked it up with pen, and then using my paper trimmer, I'm trimming that edge. So now I'm marking where I want to start that piece of zigzag lines. I'm adding some liquid adhesive on the back. I'll use the grid paper to make sure that it's nice and straight. You just need the grid paper for the first strip, and then the rest will just line up perfectly. Since we don't have the bottom strip, I will leave it a zigzag border, so we don't need to worry about the bottom. So now I have the colors that I selected. You can go for this with any color combination you would like. I decided to use yellow pools gray. The first strip is dark gray, kind of grapefruit color, or like coral, dark, very dark teal, like peacock color, and then some pink. And I die cut the sentiment from gold mirror cardstock, and also I did 2 additional die cuts from white cardstock so I can stack them up to create some dimension. So here I'm just trimming the strips at the end, so I have a more workable length of those strips to work with. So I'm just adding adhesive directly onto my panel. This is the die cut panel we just did. So I'm adding the strips directly on it. I'm adding the liquid adhesive, kind of in a zigzag pattern, and then adding the strips one by one. So I'm adding a little bit more, and for the last strip I will add that liquid adhesive directly onto the strip instead of doing onto the cardstock, just to avoid any chance of that going beyond the strip when I put it down. Though the liquid adhesive dries clear, it won't be visible at all, but I just didn't want to take the chance to have some adhesive coming out from underneath. So now while that is drying, let's work on the sentiment. So what I'm doing here, I'm adding some liquid adhesive on the first white die cut. I'm going to stack those together. I'm adding the second one and I'm lining them up to make sure that we're not creating kind of shadow, except if that's the look you would like to go, you can offset them a little. So you create some shadow underneath, so you have the gold and little white shadow, but I was not going for that look. So I'm trying to make sure that I have those nice and stacked correctly. So I'm starting from the left side and moving to the right, kind of I'm wiggling the letters so they all line up. When I'm satisfied, I added some acrylic block on top. I'll put that aside, let that sentiment dry. In the meantime, I will trim the ends of the strips we adhere to the A2 panel. I'm just using scissors, or you can also use your paper trimmer. I like using a large straight edge scissors. I feel it's much easier to cut them that way. Okay, now we have the sentiment and we can move to putting this card together. I'm adding the adhesive on back of that sentiment and it will adhere to the panel. And in our next step, what we'll have left to do is just create that top folding note card that I have the piece on side that's 4¼ by 11 and I scored at 5½. So there's a magic of YouTube. It's all scored and folded. And I just need to add that panel on top of the note card. Again, I'm using liquid adhesive because it gives me more time to move it around in case I don't have it adhere down straight, so I can line it up the way it needs to go or I would like to be. Okay, and here is our finished card. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also visit our blog for more ideas and more inspiration. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye.